What's going on? Boys, classic life video, split into two parts. First part, trust no one. Hard learned lesson. Now, when I say trust no one, I mean pay close attention to the facts. I'm willing to bet you know or have known a fair number of people who are just awful to other people, not to you. And that setup, however it falls into place, can work happily for a long time, for decades even. But what happens when that person does to you what you've been watching them for years do to everyone else? Whomstead are you going to be mad at? Are you going to be mad at them, or are you going to be mad at yourself for ignoring every single sign? And you are probably thinking, well, Skimmerlit, I'm not that stupid. The moment someone shows their hand as rotten, I distance myself from them. And maybe you do, because who doesn't? The people I'm talking about are the ones that put off maybe one or two I'm a shitter signs amongst a sea of positivity. You need to pay attention to those two signs. They weren't accidental. They weren't mistaken. Whether you ever end up getting bitten or not, those two signs are who that person is. My point here being, if anyone ever, in any situation, gives you just one really shady signal, even if it happens never again, log it. Don't brush it off and act like it was nothing or try to excuse it. Whatever that is, or whatever that indicates, is how you're going to get fucked over and what you're going to be angry with yourself about. You already have access to hindsight before it happens, and you probably already know what will be hindsight after it happens. Don't ignore it. My primary point here, if someone shows you any inkling of evil, of something that could or will hurt you, don't ignore it. The first section is titled Trust No One, because unfortunately, under these conditions, there are going to be very few people you can trust, but that's reality. Don't run from it. Second part, not a human. Lately, I've felt I'm becoming sharper and more refined, but also less adaptable, more set on the track I'm on. Which on one hand is good, because I feel I'm actualizing something like whatever that word means. But on the other hand, I'm realizing I just spent more than a quarter of my life not even knowing the person I potentially stand to become. Did I just waste more than a quarter of my theoretical existence and all of my actual existence not even existing, only to realize right now, one, there is a thing to become, two, it's not human, and three, you are not going to be able to redeem your life you were somewhat promised and half expecting, hopefully, voucher. I don't know if it's the death mantras or the skeleton fixation, but I'm noticing I don't feel alive the way I think I'm supposed to. I don't think about helping my skull pop a leak constantly anymore. I mean, it still comes up, but it's not every second of every day. However, I'm now instead constantly thinking about how I've spent or not spent my life up to this point, how I'll spend the rest of my life, and what my dying will mean, having lived whatever that way is. And the remainder of my life, now that I've fallen into a routine, feels so short and uncharacteristically meaningless. I mean, I've always felt whatever this plane is not good and somewhat meaningless, but in a cruel way. And in it being a cruel way or a sadistic way, there is purpose to it. And despite the pain in those perceptions, there is still purpose to it. But now, it feels more like that depressurization, vacuum, pointlessness. And that comes from the feeling of you are so far away from what you should be, or what a human should be, you better hope your decisions, intuitions, gut feelings are something. Because if they aren't, you have wasted and will waste your entire life chasing something that doesn't matter, that doesn't exist. And that feeling comes from a bunch of different places. But for this video, our example, I recently realized I would enjoy being alone more than I would enjoy entering a relationship with someone I wasn't already sure about, really sure. See, when I was younger, I already knew that. I already felt that. I might have even been able to articulate it. But I didn't enjoy being alone more than being with someone I wasn't good with. The crippling loneliness still hurt. Particularly because most of my relationships have been online. The few that have been in person haven't lasted that long and haven't been that romantic. I have missed out on the pure, authentic, young, dumb love experience with creeps, which I do say with affection, who are the furthest things from pure and innocent. And I was never the person who was pure and innocent. And that was all emotionally crushing when I was younger. But I've recently reached the point of half acceptance of what you are and half hyper-awareness of what you are not. For example, I've reached the point I am so accustomed to people being evil, not being trustworthy, not just in a relationship sense, I mean in general. So accustomed not to getting close with anyone, I am, at least in terms of, I don't know the words for it, chemical emotionally, okay with not feeling close with anybody. It doesn't feel good, but I also don't feel panicked or not wanting to exist. But by that same token, I don't seek out relationships anymore, and I shut people down who maybe I shouldn't. I should, because I know I should, but by conventional standards, I really shouldn't. Because fuck yourself with your human suffering, dragging people away from their true selves shit. And it felt like such a bad decision by every metric other than intuition and faith. You better hope you are what you think you are. You better achieve what you think it's possible to achieve. Because if you don't, any degree of meaning in your life is done. You might be too weak to mop the stain of your birth out of existence, but you do have the courage to make every permanently life-alteringly bad, wrong decision you can. You're too afraid to take the straightforward, easy route, so you're going to ensure you stay around as long as you can and suffer every second of it. You better hope you believe in the right thing, you fucking idiot. You are not a human. You better hope what you think you can become actually exists, because if it doesn't, you have nothing else to be. You've already burned the bridge. There's no going back. You either get somewhere or end up trapped in an eternal mire of not achieving but also not cashing out. I think those are all the key things that have been making me feel like I'm not a person. On one hand, coming into an existence that is not human but was built for you, but on the other hand, realizing there's no going back. Literally, in some cases, you're getting older, and you might not even be happy here in this thing that was built for you, if it even exists. Which, although you're coming into it, you're not entirely sure of. You're in a plane, you have no gas, you need to land right now. Your gut is telling you there's a small landing strip below you, but it's covered in fog and not on a map. You're feeling totally ambivalent, which is the opposite of apathetic, and you feel stressed, but content, but stressed, but content, and so on. Did you know you can buy your own grave plot in advance? It makes complete sense and probably should be common sense to anyone, but I didn't realize that, and it's grim. This feeling feels like buying your own grave plot and sitting beside it every day. You have all these moments in time, and maybe they all add up to something, but maybe they don't. Either way, they are not human moments. You do not have all these normal human experience moments a human is supposed to have. In their place, you have other shit. You better hope those moments mean something, because if they don't, you have nothing. I've been repeating myself for the last 11 minutes, because while this feeling feels simple, sharp, and clear, wording it feels impossible. In summary, if someone shows a red flag, ignore your feelings, ignore what you want, ignore your hopes and dreams. Pay attention to the fact a red flag is a red flag. Don't brush it off. Take it into account, and probably take action on it before that red flag can get turned on you, even if you think it never will. It probably will. And then, second part, breaking away from norms and expectations with no way back is, on one hand, gratifying because you are becoming something, but on the other hand, soul voiding because you have forfeited your opportunity to become normal. But maybe you never had that opportunity in the first place, but deciding finally, or maybe not even deciding, realizing you're coming into your own, you can't go back, and you've lost something. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. What a mess. I don't know why this one is so hard to put into words. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. What have you missed out on completely? And how do you feel about it? How does it feel not being a person in the traditional sense? Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really, we have a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun, in fact, you can pour it in a water bottle, because that's classy and a lot of fun. And that's so much fun we have on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.